Greetings, fellow boars on the floor. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the penultimate episode. Oh boy, it's almost over. We're here to break it down. Is it Ken or is it Kendra? Either way, Code Geass, it very much is Ken-uff. It's Curb Your Enthusiasm. Season 12, Episode 9, Ken/Kendra, the second to last episode ever. Dragon. That's what separates us from the animals, Dragon. We don't fuck on the floor. kind of combining some Logan Roy and Curb Your Enthusiasm there. Probably didn't go over all that great. Anyways, how you feeling, Dragon? How is this episode treating you? I hope this episode's treating you better than it treated Bruce Springsteen.
Well, by that barometer. Yeah, I don't know. The first watch, I wasn't really feeling it, but I think on the rewatch, it kind of grew on me.
The guy in the thumbnail, Code Geass, is Bruce Springsteen. It grew on you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely think this wasn't like as much of a surefire hit as some of the other episodes, like kind of mid-season have been. But I will say this, Dragon. What I do think this episode accomplishes really well, and I'm wondering, I'm actually kind of curious to get your take on this. I think this episode actually works very well as far as just building up all the stakes for the finale. Like, this episode is basically like the the Murphy's Law of Larry David, Dragon. This episode, anything that Larry David was involved in at all, it just goes wrong. Nothing goes his way whatsoever. And it's just a comedy of errors the whole time. And the thing about that is that with Larry under, obviously under a legal microscope right now, oh man, I really think this episode, I agree with you that as far as like the laughs per minute ratio, I don't think it's been as strong as some of the other weeks we've had. But I do think that this episode did go a long way to just kind of like establish Larry as fucked. Like, there is no way for Larry to save his public reputation here. He is a dead man, and man, he's going into a legal trial. In the finale, we got all the Seinfeld finale synergy. Oh boy. Code Geass, if it makes you feel better, if I hadn't seen this episode, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have known that was Bruce Springsteen either. So yeah. All right. So Dragon, yeah. Let's. Are you ready to just break it down?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, we start the episode with the massage, Dragon, and oh boy. Let me ask, did this masseuse character, was she a little much for you, or do you think it was the right amount of like cartoonishly like evil?
Well, I can't say it's like not something we've done before in Curb. I mean, it feels, honestly, it felt kind of like an early Curb pull, which I kind of appreciated. With the Chunhua.
It almost felt like a dream sequence, like just how hard she was ripping into him, like, oh, like going on about Cheryl and like, oh, but that Ted Danson, but don't be jealous. You know what my favorite delivery here is she's like, you need to eat. And Larry's just like, I eat.
But yeah, so just it's actually something they've kind of talked about in the Curb podcast, which you were right, by the way. I forgot about it. That the thing with Sammy is that they were prepared for both genders of the kid, but they yeah. But that's the thing, though. They initially were planning for 2 kids, which I did make that point that they left it ambiguous. Jeff had kids, but you're right. They used the name Sammy because they weren't sure yet. Anyway. That makes me think that I guess we don't really see Sammy until probably season 2. Probably season 2 because of the doll. So that's probably one.
Yeah, keep in mind I still haven't really caught up on my watch of the whole series yet. I haven't started season 2 yet, so yep. I'm a little behind.
Okay, anyway, the point being, they kind of mentioned that, in early Curb, especially, you had, we maybe not stereotype. It wasn't like an intentional stereotype thing, but it was very much actors who probably had like kind of a rhythm of doing things in the industry. So that's probably what they leaned into in the audition phase. It's like, well, it's kind of what they do, not really knowing that's not like their actual voice or something.
Sure, sure.
Anyway, so yeah, basically, Larry Day gets the worst massage ever. She's insulting him. She's comparing him to Ted Danson, which is like something he doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't appreciate. She and also you notice like she barely touches him. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
barely like
yeah.
it's like not even like it's like tapping uncooked chicken or something. It's like
Right, right.
it's like the imitation of a massage for like a game of charades she's really doing here. Importantly, I love we see it on this big clock in like the background here. 35 minutes. So it's only been 35 minutes. Massage starts at 10, so 35 minutes, and she's finished. I love she does like the blackjack dealer thing. Done. There's like the little clap, like done. Next table.
Yeah, I mean, all she does is like you're right, like especially with the leg, she's just like very, very quickly just lightly taps them, and
I
it's
think you
like
get the
okay,
sense like it conveys that okay, she's very much not on board for the happy ending thing. She's very much not on board for it. She doesn't even want to. She barely wants to touch this guy.
but I mean to be fair, happy ending. It's like
Mm-hmm.
35 minutes. He's not asking for what she's that's
No,
the thing. It's
absolutely.
like
I'm just
oh,
saying, like, it's like there's to convey that point. They're really bringing. They're really like she barely wants to touch this guy. Like if it were Ted Danson, though, everyone wants to touch
oh
that
my
guy.
god, if it was Ted Danson, forget about it.
I mean,
But
Sam
the thing is,
Malone.
Ted Danson is such a gentleman, man. He would never even in a million years even put this woman in a situation where she would think that he'd be asking for that.
True. So anyway, so Larry David makes the very valid point here of just well, 35 minutes. You're booked for the hour. You can't just leave now. Anyway, so he's just gesturing to his body, but again, like his
That's
arms are
the
in like a
mistake,
thick.
I think, is the gesture. I think that was his only mistake.
Well, it's the thing too. Like his body's in a very fixed position right now, where he doesn't want to have to readjust and get up. So basically, he's just motioning, like like basically like this section of the. I think he's more pointing towards like his midsection than anything, you know, like his ribs.
Sure, sure.
Anyway, so I think it's so funny just the way he says, I just want no, I don't want a happy, I just want an ending, which is a great meta thing out of context for the season. I just want an ending.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is funny. There is an episode of Curb where Larry David, at least as a gag, he does incidentally receive a happy ending.
Oh boy.
Well, again, I forget precisely how that scene went, but that was the gag where basically Larry David was recommended to masseuse who was, let's just say, eager.
Oh god. Oh no. So it's kind of like the opposite of this
Yeah,
situation.
so I mean, when I saw this scene happen, I was instantly flashing back
No,
to, oh
that's
my
that's
god,
one thing about this season is that I do feel like they are doing the it's poetry, it rhymes kind of stuff with some of these scenarios.
yeah, yeah. So, but that's the thing too. So we kind of call out here, so she very much, she freaks out, very much jumps the gun and misunderstands. But here's the thing, though: it's the fact she's
It's pretty
very
similar to
opinionated.
the situation with the maid, right? It definitely reminded me of that.
Yeah, it's similar to the maid, only she's more seemingly more actionable about it than the maid was. But yes,
Uh
but it's the fact that again, this lady's still very like she can very clearly see it's 35 minutes and she's already giving up. So this lady is in the wrong, like any way to slice it. All right, it's like there for an hour, leaving at 35 minutes, happy ending or no, she's not doing her job.
yeah.
And it's also it's like it's kind of a bit of a commentary on the dread of the post Me Too era, which I'm sure, I mean, as demented as this might sound, I'm sure for like the like the massaging masseuse industry, or I guess the body massage industry, there's always look, there is like a gray area there, okay, or I'm sure, again, illicitly mind you, but I'm sure there's like massage places and massage things that again are like that used to be a thing that was offered. Not that it was supposed to be offered, but I'm sure it complicated things.
Right, right. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I'm just saying, like, imagine
there
it's
is
like
definitely a
demented
price
as it
range for
sounds. That
sure.
was like a thing they would offer, and that would be like, hey, it would be an extra, like,
Dragon, I
indirectly.
got to be honest with you, buddy. There is one place in my town, and my town is not like a big city or anything, where it's like it is pretty blatantly obvious. It's like they're not even really trying to hide it. Like, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on there.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we come from there. Like, Saul Goodman would joke about this sort of thing left and right about any massage place would offer that service. Where it used to be a thing where you know it'd be like the thing of like you could either laugh it off or not. But now, oh god, no, it's like it's a minefield.
Right, right.
Or again, probably is more of like like an initiated thing where it's like, oh god, no, you suggested that. Well, you're a massage place. That is like the weird demented thing that people ask for sometimes in the massage place. So it's not this out of left field thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's again, it's a very much real world kind of thing. There's a lot of power that she holds right now. With just like the misconception of like what again, no one's going to believe him no matter what he says.
I mean, especially with the impending court case too. That just kind of like adds a whole other layer to it.
And we'll check back in on that later. Meanwhile, uh, Larry, Jeff, and Leon they're having lunch at I believe Ollie and Al's Deli.
Yeah, this is definitely a very good Leon episode. I will say that much. I think he's been a little quiet this season. Not too quiet, but there's these past couple episodes he hasn't had a ton to do. He's had memorable moments, but I think this episode in particular I feel was probably the best Leon episode of the season, maybe.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So we meet Lorenzo, played by the wonderful Al Madrigal.
Yeah.
I always wanted Al Madrigal to pop up on Better Call Saul, but he never did.
He feels like he would be a character in the Albuquerque verse, right? He does have that vibe.
I mean, he's also a comedian too, which is
yeah.
much feels like he would have blended. Just given the fact we have Joe DeRosa as like the veterinarian, I always thought Al Madrigal might have been like a
sure, yeah, I can see that.
Anyway, so point being, Lorenzo. I like how we call out the whole like, Ollie and Al is like cartoon. It's like a whole cartoon aesthetic.
Yeah,
like, fictional.
They're fictitious deli owner characters, I believe is the term.
It's like Ollie of Ollie's Outlet, practically. It's like it's just there's no actual Ollie. Anyway, so the health inspector
you mean to tell me there's not a Mel?
No.
Mel's Drive-In.
Yeah.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
No, I do. It's I don't think anyone else is going to get that reference, but yeah.
Well, Mel's Drive-In isn't just from American Graffiti. It's a whole chain of restaurants, but I digress. All right, anyways.
Anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so the point being, I love the timing on this bit. Okay, so they're having lunch, everything, the food's fine. They're like nice guy Lorenzo, and as they're eating, a man walks over to the window and he changes the A for the health inspector, like rating from an A.
The timing mixed with the music. I think the music is impeccable here.
It goes from an A to a C. I love the choice in the letter C because it's not a B and it's not lower, but it's right. It's like it's
right at that cusp where it's like you have to take a second glance at it. You're like, ooh, I don't know. Do I want to put this in my body? It's like probably fine.
This is a scary paranoia thing for me right here. It's the idea of like it goes from an A to a C of all things, is 2 letters. And it's just the fact that like even this is like the scary moment of the episode. Okay, even Leon stops.
He puts down a sandwich, no less, Dragon.
Now sandwich. The moment Leon does that, period, you gotta run for your life.
Oh man!
Like, so God, someone's poisoned the food. Run! But yeah, so they're wigged out by the sea, and they leave. But also, I want to mention the conversation's really on fire this episode in the rewatch. I love the cannibalism bit. I thought that conversational comedy was so funny. Is
the Blackberry thing?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the idea that
which is a Kendrick Lamar quote, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, just fun fact.
I heard a funny story about Seth MacFarlane and Kanye West recently.
Oh boy! Well, but let me just say for the record, Kendrick Lamar greater than Kanye West.
Well, of course.
As rappers go. I endorse Kendrick Lamar. I do not endorse Kanye West. But go ahead.
Kanye West sounds like a homeless guy with money.
Right.
He's a deranged homeless guy, who basically has enough money to back up what he's saying. Like, well, he's crazy, but he's got money, so.
Oh God.
I mean, he looks like he should be, having like, basically he's
It's a homeless guy who didn't just hit the lottery. He hit like the Powerball. He hit like the Mega Millions.
Exactly. Like shopping carts full of top of the line shoes.
Oh my God. All right.
You want to hear like a very random aside?
Sure.
But
Quickly.
you know what? If you're gonna take that and forget
No,
the random aside,
it's fine.
no,
it's fine.
you
Ahead,
killed the aside. You killed the aside. We're gonna move on.
Dragon. Oh my God. I don't want to get too sidetracked from the
All right,
episode.
fine. No, we're just gonna move on.
All right, fine.
The point being with the cannibalism bit, though, is really funny. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, it's so dark. It's the fact point that Jeffrey Dahmer dated a lot of black people is to prove Leon's point there.
Well, Dad, I really do think that darker meat tastes better, Dad. It's just my preference.
I mean, Dad, have you tried?
Oh God. All right. Let's not go down that road. Let's stop it there.
What else is the way Leon says? Like white people had that. He had that condiments, that stuff. He had to sauce that up. You have to get that flavor. It's just God, it's so dark and funny. But it's the fact that Leon's making that joke. I don't know. It's just funny.
Yeah.
All right. So we meet Les McCrabb.
Yeah, Dragon, do we know this guy? He looks so familiar.
He does look familiar, but I meant to look him up. I did not look up who this guy is. I don't know if he's a guest star. He might be.
Let me look, just in case. Let me look him up. Set up who he is.
Okay, so essentially, in the universe of Curb Hero, Les McCrabb is one of the young Larry directors, the most pretentious of the young Larry directors. Because he's not really.
I honestly really think this dude kind of stole the episode. I really thought that he just brought a lot of just pompous energy to his performance.
Just the fact he's so pretentious.
He works with Ken Puffins, Larry. Ken Puffins.
Just the fact that this guy's directing.
I literally have just Ken Puffins written in my notes because that's just a very funny British name.
Do you remember what was Larry David's SNL character's name?
Oh, that I don't remember.
It was Ken. It was Ken
something. I want to say.
So many Kens.
I know. Oh my God.
I was already like, can Ken something get a donut? Anyway, point being is the fact this guy's not directing High Art. He's directing the equivalent of the Curb equivalent of Young Sheldon, but he's treating it like like he's directing like Emmy-winning episodes. Anyway, so basically he wants Larry to read a draft.
Matt Berry. Do we know a Matt Berry?
I mean, it sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't.
It's vaguely familiar. Also, the fire alarm is going off in my house, but it's fine. My grandmother's just cooking. Let's see. Looks like he's a voice actor mostly. He was Prince Mercamere in Disenchantment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Not a big one.
Who's in 5 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett is 8D8. Do you remember 8D8? Because I sure don't.
I don't know if he's the one I'm thinking of. That's the thing. So there was like the assistant droid to the there was the. I forget if 8D8 was the droid assistant to Boba Fett in that show or not.
Could be. Anyways,
might be. Anyway.
But yeah, I just think this actor is just really good at just giving off that pompous, almost like Dragon. Did you get some James Corden energy from him?
I didn't get James Corden energy off of him.
Now I know that you're kind of like you haven't really been exposed to the dark side of.
No,
James.
I have not seen the dark side of the chubby British man who sings. No.
Yeah, Dragon's still charmed by the chubby British man who sings. Dragon doesn't know yet. Anyway.
No, I haven't heard the horror stories. I've still seen that. I saw that chubby British man dress up as Deadpool once. Okay, I don't really need that. I don't think there's many layers to him.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Anyways, the Dragon. Let me just say, like his pompous attitude is kind of like, kind of low key. It does feel like a caricature of like that type. Maybe not him specifically, but that type. All right.
Right.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, the point being, Lessier wants Larry to read a draft of his book. Larry's stuck doing it because the whole reason he's stuck talking to this guy in the first place is he's gotten so old he's starting to get enfeebled with zippers now, which is a real thing by the way. Old people do have trouble with zippers.
What are you, fucking 6 years old? Susie Essman line in the episode, probably.
Yes. But yeah, so again, it's a real thing. Old people do get to a point where they have trouble with the zippers, and basically all the time that it's taken to get the zipper is beating his exit time, which leads him to get into these situations like with Les now. So now he's obligated to read the book even though he doesn't want to. All right, let's see. So,
I'm sorry. Did you set up the boss?
I was just going to talk about the boss when we get to him, but
No, we set it up. Jeff said that Springsteen wants to meet Larry on account of the Atlanta thing. So just to put a pin in the
and we have seen Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Yes, we've seen Bruce Springsteen before as well. Earlier in the season, he was on the TV saying, "I approve what Larry David did."
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That's a good pull.
So it was even set up before then, but like the whole meeting here being set up. Yes, you're right. We did that during the lunch. Also, the whole shingles vaccine is Leon just being really offended by herpes. Like, I would not get in that car, Larry. I love my favorite bit with Leon, by the way, is Larry David. Like, when you get back to the house, you're gonna put on the sweater and see how easy it is to get the zipper up.
Oh God, yeah. He just goes on this, which obviously was improvised. Just the whole like, do you know how many girls I had to sneak out of their houses when their husbands or their boyfriends came home? I had to zip it up real quick, Larry, real quick.
So, by the way, JB Smooth recently in an interview because everyone's asking like, "How do you feel about the show now it's being over and everything?" JB Smooth he desperately wants Curb to go on. He basically proposed, and this wouldn't benefit him at all. It just shows you it's a good guy, that JB Smooth, where he says basically he's proposing the actual Young Larry show.
Oh man, I
he
don't
wants to see
that.
Like where did Larry David come from? That's essentially what his pitch was. Like, where did this guy come from?
I truly think that Meet the Blacks has potential, especially because you have another like A grade performer in there with him. You have Regina King.
Yeah,
like she's built right in Dragon, and a fan favorite with the ant character. She's a fan favorite.
Oh God, can you imagine how dark it'd be if we killed Larry David in prison?
I mean, that's one way to one up the Seinfeld finale, dude.
I'm just saying if like when you do Meet the Blacks, it's like Leon is reeling from the death of Larry.
Oh my God! And it's like seriously like leans very heavily into like the PTSD element. It's like a very dark comedy.
I mean, honestly, what if Larry David left his money to Leon?
I could totally see Larry David leaving his money to Leon. I think Leon's probably the most probable benefactor, honestly.
I mean, him and Jeff, man, I think they probably split it between the two of them. Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of legalese here, the new lawyer. We're introduced to Larry David's new lawyer.
Oh God, Dragon! And as soon as I saw this woman, I was like, "This is just not going to go well. It's not going to go well whatsoever."
So
before Larry even talks to her, Leon's all over her, of course.
Okay, so we meet Sibby Saunders here, who's a very attractive African-American woman, and Leon is putting the moves on her.
Oh man, just instantly.
Not just the moves, he's putting all the moves on her. Like Leon likes her.
I like that shit. I like that lipstick you got on. That shit looks beautiful on your mouth. What's it called? It's called "Don't Go There."
It's a clever response. I still love that response. It's like called "Don't Go There." Anyway, so she's very concerned with how Larry David's presenting himself. She's making sure he's going to put on a suit and everything when he goes for the trial, not just the casual stuff. Wants to make sure the jury likes him. I love Larry David apologizing for Leon. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure it was an ordeal. I'm sorry. The trial we set up is in a few weeks, and it hinges on whether the jury, because basically the facts are, because he's already admitted to it, like, yes, I did it. So it's not a matter of proving that he did it, but it's entirely, and again, we're paralleling Seinfeld, by the way. Seinfeld, as it boiled down to, was purely a character reference trial.
Sure.
In more ways than one, but basically it was a character reference trial.
Right.
So essentially it was, we either, we like or dislike Larry David. That's what it's going to boil down to, which is it's kind of the telltale question of the show. Do we like or dislike Larry David?
You know what? Yeah, the show is kind of like the magic trick of the show is that balancing act. Is like, I kind of feel like one of the big things about the podcast that we do that's really appealing to me is that basically every scenario we can kind of weigh in. It's almost like a game show. Like, how do we feel? Like, is Larry in the right here or is it T? You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's almost kind of like a built-in like audience participation element to the setups.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
All right, let's see. So, anyway, so we established that. So basically, as things seemingly are going well with the lawyer, then here's something I'm going to rant on briefly. So Cheryl enters, Cheryl just barges in, very unreasonable here, as she so often has been. I think I'm like one of the few people. I've always had it out for Cheryl. I got to be honest throughout Curb, because it's been this thing where she constantly gets into these comedic misunderstandings and never has his back. It is no wonder they divorced.
Here's the thing. I think you and I are going to differ on this moment, but I think this moment was really good satire because the whole thing is, yes, Cheryl is being completely unreasonable. And that's why I laughed my fucking ass off when the lawyer just instantly jumps down Larry's throat. Like, you can't talk to her that way, Larry. She's a woman.
Exactly.
Like,
so
honestly, Dragon, I think that shit's fucking hilarious. Like,
it's clever.
Like, that is just spot on social satire right there, and I love the setup to it.
No, you're right. That's funny. I'm just saying, it's like Cheryl yet again in the most like unsubtle way. Yet again, it's just like the fact is, like, I think it's the first time she's outright just barged in to do this sort of thing. So this is kind of, the fact, like, well, no, don't talk to her like that. Why not? She just came in hot like that. Anyway, so
yeah, I mean, it's like, I am so convinced. Like, honestly, you know what a good plot twist would be? Is if this lawyer did actually turn around and be like, you know what, Larry David, he's a lot of things. He's an asshole, but he should not be tried for this, and just does a very professional job and just cleans it all up. But Dragon, I don't know. I think the smart money is on her just like turning on Larry like everyone else by the end of the next episode.
Yep. God, so this is the thing. Like, Cheryl just barges in to chew Larry David out in front of company, and just very, very, very.
And then obviously the lawyer is just like, this whole thing with the masseuse and the happy ending. It's not good. It's not a good look whatsoever.
Again, Cheryl just gives him no credit that at all. Like, this could be misunderstood, misinterpreted. And the fact that Cheryl sent him.
He's not a sex worker, Larry.
It's just the fact there's like no credit at all. I mean, she's been married to him for God knows how long. He's never done something like this. I mean, the only time Larry David hired a sex worker was to get into the carpool lane, literally, and it was very deliberately.
Oh God!
Which, by the way, one of the best episodes of Curb, the carpool lane episode.
That sounds delightful.
The carpool lane, the doll, and the nanny. Those are three of the big episodes for me. Anyway, just the fact that it just comes in, this gives no credit at all for this, and it's being very unfair to Larry David here that now he has to appease his accuser here. Has to appease her just because she could do damage to him during the trials. Is like, and the fact that Cheryl recommended her, and having no inkling that this lady, we've seen how strong-willed this lady is in every other facet of life. You can see this could potentially be a recipe for disaster, really.
Right.
It's also got to find that literally, if you look through the history of Curb, I mean, I haven't rewatched Curb from start to finish in a while, but I'm sure, because more often than not, every person that Cheryl hires on behalf of the David family, particularly when it comes to women, it never ends well for Larry David. It's just always disastrous.
Right,
always goes belly up like this, where it's always like just an encounter of this variety. All right. Let's talk about the boss.
The boss. Poor boss. All right.
May I call you the boss?
Oh my God. Oh dear. Dragon, as soon as the scene fucking started, I was like, oh boy, he is going to piss off Bruce Springsteen, American hero Bruce Springsteen, and all the goodwill that he's built up with the public over these past 9 episodes is just gonna go out the window. He's gonna be public enemy number 1. It's gonna be like fucking Nicolas Cage dream scenario, Dragon. It's gonna be like that movie. And yeah. So let's break it down. How do we get to that point?
So Springsteen took this meeting because he heard what Larry did in Atlanta, and he's very impressed that he kind of stood up to the man, essentially. And they had lunch at the Greens, lunch at Jeff and Susie's house. Susie just instantly deflates the gesture in Atlanta. He knew the woman, right? Yes, but I knew the law was wrong, and I did it anyway.
Oh man.
Oh, I love how this. By the same token, Larry David, he can tick off anyone or be enemies with anyone. Where we had the whole thing with like Michael J. Fox, where like he even turned Michael J. Fox into an enemy.
Right, yeah.
But by the same token, though, he's so disarming. Where he basically gets Bruce Springsteen. He tells him about the whole. Doesn't like meeting Les McCrabb on the street and have people like send.
I feel like that kind of like initially is like a good sort of like bridge between the two of them. It's like, okay, they're bonding. Like, and I love the Don Henley shout out.
Well, that's what I was getting at. So the Don Henley thing is the fact that Larry David's able to get that out of the boss. Just get the whole Don Henley thing. Like, no, I really shouldn't say. Come on, boss, come on.
Boss.
He says, okay, it was Don. It's the fact that he cracks to Larry David because he's so disarming in that way, and they have like some nice banter about the whole health inspector thing. I'd eat it at a B. Bruce Springsteen would eat it at a B. All right, so then we meet Bruce Springsteen's assistant. This is where the episode takes kind of a turn.
Yeah, Dragon. I feel like we should have some sort of equivalent to the David Hyde Pierce Skeen thing when it comes to trans issues, because obviously we respect them, obviously, but very much not our territory.
I don't think we really have like a mascot for that one. I don't know who the heck our mascot would be for that one.
Tegan would probably be our mascot for that, maybe, if we asked her.
No, it's the fact we need an opposite to that. That's I don't know really the opposite to trans is. That's the problem.
To just like someone who's just without it coming off as like incredibly problematic.
Yeah, that's the thing. David Hyde Pierce Skiing is like we're the whitest white men versus talking about black issues. That's essentially what our David Hyde Pierce for trans. I don't know what the opposite of trans is.
Okay, well, look, Dragon. All I'm saying is that when it comes to this type of humor, it's not that we're not respectful, but it's just not really our territory.
No, it's not. It's not our territory at all. True.
So we don't really know if it's like how effective it works. Like honestly, I would have to talk to a trans friend about this to see if it was like offensive or funny or not. You know what I mean?
It's not even about the trans thing. It's just about like the situation of like I empathize with Larry David. Here's the fact that it's a surprise and it's being sprung on him, and it's like in front of like.
Dragon, if it was just a full-fledged like ex-girlfriend, and the trans thing was not an issue at all, right?
Yeah,
it would still be bad. It would still be very inappropriate.
Well, yeah, but I mean, true, but what I'm getting at is the fact that we linger on it for I think the joke goes on way too long. And the only reason
it's a little bit on like I don't want to say the gross outside because I'm not trying to imply that, but it's like just in general, I feel like Curb doesn't really like they'll make sex jokes, but they don't really linger on it. I feel like this was kind of like it was kind of marinating in the tension here, which is fine. I don't know, Dragon. I feel like we're going to get canceled just having this.
Well, no, look, I'm not. All I'm saying is the fact that this is being sprung on him. It's in front of Bruce Springsteen and his friends, and it's just the fact that it's like the fact that we linger. It plays as a weird joke because it just goes on for so long. It was a really just. It just feels like basically it's like so uncomfortable because we're rubbing it in.
It's definitely the type of humor where it's like the type of like new age comedy where it's specifically made to make you as uncomfortable as possible. Which, granted, is the bread and butter of Curb, but I feel like Curb kind of like, generally speaking, like what you're saying, I agree. Like they kind of know when to cut it a little better. I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like it feels like a very weird improvisation where they were just kind of going with it. Yes, Larry David has technically slept with a man now, or is really rubbing it in everyone's
Right,
face.
right.
And the main reason we're doing it
If
is
anything, Dragon, I feel like the fact that they made so much of a big deal about it. Again, I don't know. I feel like I'm obviously not an authority on this, but I'd be very curious to ask someone like Tegan what they think. Where it's like, is the fact that they're making such a big deal out of it, is that like kind of a little bit coded with with some phobia there? I don't know.
well,
I don't feel like I'm at liberty to say one way or another.
what I was getting at is the fact that it's extended purely to get the set up the floor bit. That's the main reason that feels like it's the main reason we're really extending, just so we can set up the whole floor gag, which is going to pay off later.
Right, but the floor gag doesn't even really pay off with this character, and this character does kind of come back, but they don't really have that much of a payoff.
Well, that's what I want to connect the dots to, as well as the fact that when
the episode's named after the character too, which I think is kind of a problem, because I really think this episode should have had some sort of, like, obviously this character is connected to Bruce, but I don't know. I feel like we should have had either like a reference to the. I feel like the massage and obviously Springsteen himself are both like bigger issues in the context of the story, and will have way more long-term ramifications as far as like, going into the finale than the Kendra thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd almost be like if they literally just called episode 1 Brooke/Brookie. It's kind of on that level.
It basically, it feels like we very much hinged. If the episode is hinged on 4 jokes, two out of the 4 jokes aren't really clicking, and because of that, it's like the episode's effectiveness is kind of cut in half.
Right.
So we have the massage and we have the boss, and that works great. On the flip side, we have the floor sex, and we have the the whole trans stuff.
Okay, I will say I like the payoff to the floor sex, but again, it doesn't.
Well, here's the thing. Even the payoff doesn't make a lot of sense, though. That's what I have an issue with. The payoff. I don't think the payoff.
We'll get to it. I think just performance-wise, it's really funny, but we'll get there.
But that's the thing. It's all performance, but no punchline.
All right.
Anyway, we'll circle back to it. The point being, though, it feels like a very rare timing curve. We didn't cut off. We didn't edit the joke properly. Okay. So let's see. So anyway, we have the drive-by introductions. Basically, Chunhua, she was going to be. We were going to satiate her by introducing her to Bruce Springsteen. It would make everything better. And she's there and says, "Hey, Larry David, this is Chunhua. Hey, Bruce Springsteen. This is Chunhua." She's like, "Oh, hey." Walks right out.
No handshake, no real acknowledgement.
And she's not happy. Now, look, here's the thing. In a legal setting, Larry David is in the right, but but it's more like fine print kind of lawyering, It's.
Well, I love Jeff's response here, where Larry was like, "Was that an introduction, Jeff?" Jeff was like, "It wasn't a good one."
There you go, and that summarizes it perfectly. Where I think Jeff nailed it right there. It's like, yeah, it's an introduction. It's a fine print introduction, but not,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I think now I know. It's what's even better. Here's what's really great about that gag, though, and the intersect of our boss and massage stories here. There's a lot of preempting in this episode. There's a fun runner like preempting where Larry David, again, if he keeps getting delayed by that zipper and lands him in this trouble, like his timing is just off in the episode. There's honestly this looking even at the stuff we don't like about this episode. It's all about the timing.
Right.
Okay, so like the zipper is delaying him. The masseuse is rushing him. It's like, it's 35 minutes, I'm out. So again, had the timing worked out, had Bruce Springsteen stayed longer, had Ken, or I guess, well, Kendra now Ken, had the Ken joke not gone on as long, he would have stayed longer. And she would have had her meeting. So again, she kind of gets the bum's rush that she gave Larry earlier in the episode. So in that respect, that's really funny.
Sure.
How it all blew up in their faces. All right, anyway. So then we stop at the water mix-up. This is important.
Oh, yeah.
Now, tell me you haven't had this fear.
Oh, I have. I very much have. Definitely.
I'm always I'm on red alert for the whole for like the drinking. Usually if I even suspect like, oh no, someone's drank from that, I can't touch it for the rest of the meal. I can't do it.
Right. I
I
feel
just like,
you.
oh god, I can't, cause I can't risk it. Maybe in my youth, but like as a little kid, but not now. I can't do it. But yeah, so we have the water mix over. Larry insists, no, that's my water. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's mine. So, what do you think? Do you think Bruce Springsteen gave it to him because he said it was asymptomatic? Like, do you think Bruce Springsteen had it, or do you think Larry David just he mixed up the waters?
I fully think it's Larry's fault. I fully
Okay,
think Larry's in the wrong here.
so basically they mix up the waters, and the result of this,
Because just because this seems like such a stupid scenario that it just feels like something that Larry would fuck up. Honestly, I just feel it in my bones.
now I got to admit, this next bit's a little personal for me. The scene that Larry David has, the way it's directed, where he sees the he sees the the COVID test,
Uh huh.
just the reaction to it. It's one of those scenes this season that really made, man, I wish my grandfather would have been able to see that scene because during the pandemic he was very very wary about, not wary and like against it, but was very much, he was worried about getting the thing, so he was like, this sort of scene mixed with one of his favorite shows ever would have
Aw.
been great.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was my first thought when I saw this
And
thing.
you
Like,
know
okay,
what's funny is that I kind of feel like this episode sort of crammed in all the COVID stuff that we thought we were going to get in the last season.
I mean, the closest we got to is Albert Brooks' COVID order.
Yeah, exactly. That was the one time we ever mentioned it.
True. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, now we fully, so it's kind of, it is a better payoff to that when you think about it.
Yeah.
So Larry David has gotten the virus, and I love like just that we see him keep doing the test and like the lines and everything, and he's just like every time he's just
I
stymied by it.
hate those two fucking lines.
Yep. One of the funniest bits, just like him chasing Leon, chasing Leon through the yard.
I've got the COVID.
Just seeing him just chase Leon is just like, okay, why don't you come in? I'll get the house.
Oh my god. I can't shit in there, Larry. God. Again, Leon just on fire this episode, truly.
Yep. Okay, so now Larry David gets he's now a social pariah for for infecting Bruce Springsteen and basically canceling his big farewell concert.
Oh man. And Dragon, I know firsthand, like I've never been to a Springsteen concert. I don't really care, but like just being around other people that are into music, like yeah, you don't fuck with Springsteen. Like this is truly pretty realistic.
He's the boss. If you were wearing all white and eating the chicken leg, he'd be Boss Biggs, but he's the boss.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so yeah, so he's Larry David is getting blamed all over. It's not just like by his friends and everything. It's like people know. It's like the world knows it's Larry David, and it was like leaked to the news and everything, and like and he's being blamed for it.
uh
Initially, I here's the thing. Initially, I wondered if Les McCrabb gave it to him.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, we have a thing. Well, honestly, it's a little ambiguous. It's possible
That
he
is
gave.
possible. It's definitely possible.
But also, I like the idea that there's almost like a hint that, again, it's a misdirect given what we ultimately find out. For a moment, I think you wonder, like, was it the food at the restaurant? Well, I got a C.
Uh-huh.
Of all the letters it could have got, C4.
Oh.
But yeah, I still, the jury's not on if Les maybe gave it to him. But the point being, Larry David's been in contact with this guy, which is going to pay off later. Okay, so then he gets into the argument. He gets into the argument. Sure, yet again, Cheryl here. Now I go. Cheryl's a much more. It's a more fair argument here. It's like, yeah, still though, coming in hot always. Just like it's been made pointed to her attention. Like, yeah, and Larry David had sex on the floor with you, so he wouldn't have to talk and cuddle and stuff. Now, Dave, what's your stance on the cuddle?
I gotta tell you, man, I'm a big cuddle guy. Like,
Right? I mean,
especially
the cuddle's great.
like for me as an asexual person, cuddling is better than the actual sex. Just straight up. That for me is just my reality.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I love the cuddle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's like, look, I understand. Here's the thing: the funniest thing about this whole Sex and the Fourth thing, Larry David, is that it feels like a modern day
It just seems
sign.
so uncomfortable. Like I would never want to try it. You know what I mean? Just give or take the intimacy issues. It just feels like it would hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pray, it's on the hard floor and everything. I don't want that. Unless I'm getting tackled in the throes of passion, I don't want that. And even then, I'm worried about the impact. Like I'll be thinking the whole time, "Oh, guys, this isn't a concussion, is it? This is."
Oh God.
It's like, okay, well, I'll be seeing like I'll be feeling the back of it. Is there head trauma? Like, okay, we're all good. All right. Anyway, what I'm getting at here, it feels very much, of course, George Costanza being linked with Larry David. Because of that, there's very much this feels like this whole storyline feels like something George Costanza would get into. Is the fact that George Costanza would not be a fan of the cuddle, and so many stories in Seinfeld being George Costanza based on like things Larry David did in his dating life and stuff. It feels very simpatico. It feels like something we would see in a modern day thing.
Sure.
Well, honestly, that and honestly, it feels like modern day if they were to do Seinfeld today, and I guess it's always Sunny in Philadelphia has been kind of compared to like what the contemporary for that would be. The whole Kendra thing does kind of feel like a George Costanza plotline in like the new era that we would never have ventured in the '90s.
It does. It does. It feels like if Seinfeld were to be rebooted, that would be a plot line that they would touch on.
Because it feels, again, the way we play that scene does feel very much like a George Costanza scene, but maybe that's why it feels a little off, because it's, at this point in Curbler, we're so used to Larry David before we're thinking like full on Costanza. I don't know. It's like something maybe like under the surface there. But anyway, Cheryl, she's basically explained, like, what, you don't like me saying stuff like I love you and everything? I know. Why would I say that? Yeah, which, I mean, see, being married to her, I got by. I'm not saying it. I got to be honest. I don't know.
All right.
All right, so Susie, we visit Susie, and big scene with Susie here, because honestly, this feels like a series ender scene for Susie. I'm sure she's gonna be in the last episode, but this feels like a
But
big
you're
like.
right. This feels like it could be her last scene.
I mean, the magnitude of the argument does feel very much like these two at each other's throats the whole series, and this is kind of like the big crescendo to that. And I love that she's in a position where she can't come downstairs because now she's contracted it. She's upstairs. Jeff is happy as a clam because she can't come downstairs, and he loves the solitude, not having to put up with her. So it's this big potentially series ending argument with Susie here. You're a virus, Larry. Is Larry saying you're injecting yourself into lives?
And then I already referenced it, but just I think the biggest laugh in the whole episode for me is you gave the boss fucking COVID, and then Larry's just like, oh, poor boss.
See, to me, I think one of the funniest
fucking kills me. Just Larry David's delivery on that.
I gotta be honest. You want to talk funny deliveries in this scene? Okay, Jeff Garland's delivery of Susie, leave the man's aura alone.
Oh my god!
Just like Larry David staunchly defending his aura. Like, Jeff, how's my aura? It's like, Susie, leave the man's aura alone. But again, like the whole thing about squealing and everything about the health inspector thing is Larry David's absolutely right. Susie is squealing. It's because like you couldn't cuddle.
Oh my god!
You couldn't cuddle your effing wife. And she again. It feels like again if they only have one big Susie blow up scene, like they have like all the cursing. I was like all the just all of it's in there.
For sure.
Anyway.
For sure. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, hello.
Yes.
Sorry. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, you're still there.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, so it's like him like getting this argument, like, F you, Susie, and then just like, yeah, let's watch TV.
All right.
All right, so we have the masseuse yet again. So Larry David and the Chunwa.
And she's just like, she's fucking like, this ride is too bumpy. It's not a smooth ride. I'm like, oh my god, dude. This woman is just a terror.
Yep. And they have to sneak by the protesters.
And then just the way that she gets in just by being like if you know massage, I leave, and you don't get massage, you have to pay me. It's like, okay.
God, it just look in reality, it makes no sense why he would ever agree to that because she's gonna get sick if she comes in. But she's
right.
It honestly, it suggests that the boss is kind of cheap. Honestly, that's what it suggests to me.
A little bit, yeah, I could see that.
He's Bruce Springsteen. He's got Springsteen money. He's got "F you, I'm the boss" money.
Oh God.
No, he's got. No, I'm sorry. He's got "F you, who's the boss" money. Now, while he's recovering, he's watching a lot of "Who's the Boss."
Oh my God, dude.
That's his recovery show.
Okay, that is a delightful little mental image you just conjured up there. Just Bruce Springsteen sick in bed, and Who's the Boss is like his comfort show.
This is the idea, like this. You're watching Bruce Springsteen with a smile,
every time the theme
yeah,
song
exactly.
comes on,
With the
like,
"Who's the boss?"
He's like, me, I'm the boss.
Boss. Anyway, so Larry and Juma, they're outside. They basically snuck onto the premises with this Trojan horse plan, and they're outside the glass window, and like Larry's like, "I'm sorry, but she just wants a picture."
I think this image that we have, it really does just sum up the episode. It's like Chudwa is like just very, very outwardly super pleasant, like, hi, like I'm just your big fan, but then we know how much of a menace she actually is. And Larry, he's just at the end of the rope, and Bruce Springsteen is basically like, what the fuck, Larry?
Effing Larry David. Well, he's got a nice kind of cozy setup here. He's got a nice chair. He's got his guitars. He's very clearly watching Who's the Boss. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it does not go well.
No, it doesn't. I mean, they're taking pictures. I love the realistic gag. Like, no, it's just me in reflection. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. And and he has to I love how Bruce is basically just like kind of like suckered into like, all right, just take the picture, Larry. He doesn't like it, but he's like, just take the picture.
Yep.
All right, but then Ken has to come in and intervene.
Yep.
Because he's just Ken.
Do you think Ken wins like the Barbie movie?
I would like to think he did, yes.
Yeah.
I just think that he just took all the Ken stuff just very literally.
Well, that's the thing. So imagine this, like, hello, Mr. Wins, Mr. Ken wins. Not actually. Ken, what was your favorite part of the Barbie movie? Well, I really liked it when Ken won.
I really liked that heartfelt speech from America Ferrera. It really spoke to me on a deep level about the struggles that women in this country face. I'm surprisingly thoughtful that way. Vince just never gives me any screen time.
And he's like, well, what did you think about the movie Onward? My favorite part of the movie was the pants.
Oh my God.
Because get it, kids? Because he played the father. The brief line that he had in the movie, that was him. That was Ken Wins. It's Ken Wins.
I'm forgetting about that, but that is super trippy.
Yeah, so he liked the pants. He liked the father. Okay.
All right.
All right, let's see. So, anyway, so it doesn't go well. They run off. Larry David's like quoting like the link, the Gettysburg Address again. Let's see. Also, the hunch. There was like a fun runner with the hunch. That's really where the Lincoln thing came in. There's we have this great line where we even call out Ken here saying, I had a hunch something like this would have happened with the water. It's like, oh yeah, all the credit for.
You had a hunch. Right. Why didn't you say something?
But yeah, Larry just calls it out like just so truly. Here's us all the credit for just being right without doing any legwork.
You know what I love about Larry David and his character in the show is that, in spite of the fact that this scene has clearly just gone to shit for him, you just know that one moment of self-gratification just meant more to him than all the shit that he's actually in.
Oh, yeah.
Just the one moment of the hunch. Like, see, aha!
Even Springsteen agrees with it.
Oh my god.
The only thing that would make it better is if Springsteen and Conan agreed with it.
Oh god, I know, dude. I really I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't, but I really hope that we see like a jury of some guest stars, which I know happened in Seinfeld.
Well, more like
In the court.
not a jury, but like
But like, yeah,
testimony,
people in the courtroom. Yeah, I'm sorry.
well,
Yeah.
witnesses essentially. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Anyway, so oh god, so we have our last. So Larry returns to call out the Al Magical character here about call out Lorenzo for the changing. Like he's basically we saw him earlier change the letter back to an A, which is really bad, really egregious. That he's changing it from a C to an A. It looks really bad, but then we learn why he did it.
Yeah, because people were having sex on his floor. What kind of fucking monsters would do? So, Dragon, here's the thing. I agree with you that the floor thing is, it's not the funniest conceit that this show's ever come up with. But I give this actor so much credit. Just the sheer passion and hatred in his voice during this fucking monologue is pretty funny to me.
Well, yeah, that's the Al Madrigal is funny. And like, that rant is funny, but it's just the fact that like there's no real like.
No, I agree. It doesn't really tie anything up in the episode at all. It doesn't really need to be there. I just think the performance is really funny.
No, for sure, yeah.
Like as far as just the actual like comedic bits of this episode go.
Yeah, just funny.
That separates us from the animals, Larry.
This feels really specific, you know.
It feels very specific. God.
Anyway, so then we have like the great. Now, this to me is a better payoff, though. Okay, so the zipper yet again. He finished reading Les's thing. He's supposed to call the guy. He says, "Oh yeah, sure. Let me just get the zipper," and he eventually does. But in the time he was going to call, he was supposed to call Les to inform him because we saw like a list of people he was like telling him he'd been in contact with recently. So in case he actually had the virus, they would know. So he was about to call Les, but he gets busy zipping up the thing. And he just misses him before he goes on his big like meditation yoga thing retreat. And he puts his cell phone in a bag. And it rings right. That's it. Had Larry not zipped up or done
or zipped literally, up, yeah, it would be that close of a call.
Yeah, so
and I love how the guy, like on some level, you almost think that the guy holding the cell phone maybe is like, I don't know, should I answer this? Nah.
Yep, it's the fact that Les gets on there and he's touching and like and breathing on everyone and just they're all doomed.
All right, everyone, deep breath.
God. So I mean, there is something again. The whole Larry David being a virus thing. Oh God, so it's kind of dark. The Larry David is endangered all these people on the bus.
Yeah, that is kind of dark. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, so boy, oh boy, we only got one episode left, Dragon. I got to admit, I'm pretty stoked. And like I said, just final thoughts on the episode in general. I'm with you that it's not the strongest of the episode for sure. I would say like, it's probably in the bottom 5 that we've covered this season, not the top 5. But that being said, I still think the season overall is quite strong, definitely stronger than last season. And with this episode in particular, I do think that the stuff with the boss, like in particular, just killing Larry's public image, just bringing Larry's public image down in flames. I honestly think, on top of the potential Me Too stuff with the masseuse, I think that's potential like really good juicy cannon fodder for the finale, and I really think the bases are loaded for a finale. Dragon, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Again, I think we stumbled a little bit in this one with some of the gags, but on the whole, this is a very. It had some great laugh out loud moments. I mean, look, they've never really done like a big lead-in penultimate episode, so I'm not really like upset with it on that matter. In that respect, I really like the idea that we're setting up this great fall that's going to happen in the last episode. So I'm liking that, but it's not what I expected from the penultimate episode. Not that I really should have had much expectation, just given the fact that usually, traditionally, in every other season, they don't really build up to something like that. it is like, again, the season's kind of led to that point. But usually 9 isn't like a direct lead in. So it's never happened, but we don't really. We've had like countdown plots, and I guess the last real big, like, for example, seasons 3 and 4, they're countdown plots. You have um, the restaurant's opening, my favorite, and we're doing the producers. So it's close to opening day, opening night. So we're so in that respect, we've kind of done it like that. But this is like, oh boys, we have a few weeks in the trial. The trial of the century is going to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's
All
thank
right,
folks for listening to us prattle on.
Yeah, big thanks to Co Gios, of course, as always, very loyal. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Stay tuned next week where we cover the finale. And then there may or may not be alternate future Curb Your Enthusiasm things in the works. We'll see. We might have something cooking. I don't want to promise anything just yet. All right, folks. Have a good night. See y'all later.
Leon, put the sandwich down.
Oh, poor boss.